Well, hello everyone. Here I am in my second podcast of the day, which is remarkable. So I'm absolutely delighted, if I could speak still, to be speaking to two friends in not only a different continent, a different time zone, but a different temperature zone to what I'm in just now. I'm speaking from Scotland. I'm speaking to two people who are down in Australia. They're about to tell us exactly where, but I know already that it is hotter than the surface of the sun where you guys are. Is that right? So we have, yes, oh dear. So we have Stevie and Talitha. People who've been following the Proost Advent readings will know Stevie's name immediately from a poem that was contributed to that maybe about 5-6 days ago. It was something like that, was it? One of the most powerful pieces of reading and writing that I can remember. And one of those things that landed in my inbox, and I played it and I wept. And I played it again and I wept. And I played it again and I wept. So we're going to listen to that poem again. And it's the format that it came to us. And we're going to reflect. Steve is going to tell us some of the story about that. And then we're going to hear some poems from Talitha. I may read something, but I'm rather hoping not to, because this is about the Australian end of things, not the Scottish end of things. So let's do some introductions first of all. Who wants to go first? Stevie, do you want to go first?
Stevie Rose, I'm from Melbourne, Australia. I'm a performance poet and writer and passionate about justice and the intersection of justice and the power of work.
That's a very good introduction. Do you two already know each other?
Yes.
Yeah? Right. How did you meet Talitha?
Through Talitha, can you say?
Okay. Right. Well, we'll hear some more about that, I guess. But thank you. Talitha, over to you.
Kia ora koutou katoa. I am on Wurundjeri country today, now Melbourne, by way of Wellington, New Zealand. Thank you for giving us some space. It was 42 degrees here yesterday. This morning has started cooler. We're aiming at 20 today. That's a relief for me, although Stevie might be disappointed.
Too cold now, is it? You'll be putting jumpers on.
I am a theopoetic dabbler who is out of the sort of radical discipleship tradition. I'm the curator of a project called The Recollective, which is a playground at the intersections of reflection, culture, and feminist theology. I would have met Stevie at the Surrender Conference, which is a sort of Christian justice conference that has happened in Melbourne several times. You're a regular performer there, aren't you, Stevie? But this year we've connected more closely, particularly around the book club, is it, Stevie? Subject to Blood, one of the projects that the Recollective has been working on is gathering with women around the text of the Bleeding Woman in Mark, and to have women with lived experience of bleeding exegete on that text is wonderful, and we're collaborating on a resource we hope to make available to the world at some point. It includes poems, among other things.
Okay, so let me track back a couple of the things which you've mentioned. Then the Surrender Conference. I've never heard of this. Tell me more about what this is and how it happens.
It's a conference that happens usually in Australia, and it's enjoy about justice but local community justice. So lots of organizations working locally and overseas in different ways to enact God's justice in the
Wow. And who has pulled this together? I mean, that sounds a remarkable thing. Sounds like just the thing you would hope that Christians and the church would be involved in, and yet very rarely are, it would seem.
It's an it's independently run, I believe, so maybe bigger organisations can be sponsors of it. So ones like TIER or World Vision, CBM, people like bigger sort of organisations might come on as sponsor partners, and obviously people's conference tickets help cover a cost. There's an info hub. So it sort of plays three functions as a conference. It's an info hub where you can hear about all the little indie Christian justice projects, all the things that are too small, that might not make it to your bandwidth, they gather in an info hub. So whether you're interested in kind of international development work or really local grassroots intentional communities, you can get this amazing exposure to a whole lot of different projects. And then those organisations and the sponsored ones, between the main stage and a variety of different sort of tents and marquees, running different staff, and there's chai and food, and so it's a gathering of the tribes of all the people. There's a lot of us who have worked for one of those little indie organisations, then we leave and work for the next little indie not-for-profit Christian organisation. This is an event in the year that brings us all back together. And the third, has a big focus on youth coming and getting exposure to all of that, and working for reconciliation and justice for First Nations people, Christians actively working to make space for that in this continent known as Australia.
Brilliant. And the other thing then was the Recollective and the project that you're working on together at the moment. What is the Recollective? Are you both involved in that, or is that just your thing today?
Stevie has definitely come to some of its projects. It is a little bit my brainchild, and when I say a playground, and I know that is hard for people to understand exactly what that is, I mean it. It's a vessel, it's a vehicle, it's projects that arise out of conversation and relationship. We work on something and then we lay that down, and in the next conversation we make something new and different. Sometimes we're making like gift products, like a physical material. We've done a bookmark series, we've done doorstops. Sometimes it's e-resources, there's definite contemplative e-resources and things available. Sometimes it's consulting services, different workshops we've run where we make this thing up as we go along out of relationship and conversation.
It's interesting to hear these stories from the perspective of rural Scotland or even the UK, where there seems to be possibilities in what you're describing in terms of collectivizing, in terms of activism, in terms of a critical mass of people who would come together to work on things, which is a mystery to me now. It's not something that exists where I live, and it's just wonderful to hear.
I think you're very good at making those spaces for us in this online.
Well, I mean, that's the beauty of the online stuff, isn't it? I'm able to hear your stories from, a few thousand miles away, quite a few thousand miles away, I would imagine. Okay. I suppose, just in case, I should just say a little bit about myself as well. I'm Chris. I'm based in a place called Dunoon. You have a Dunoon in Australia as well, I believe. But I would like to contend that ours is the original, which is in Argyll, which is in West Scotland. Very, very wet, very coastal, kind of a place divided up by hundreds of lochs going in every direction. Lots of mountains, lots of midges, lots of deer. Not a lot of people, although we're quite close to the ferries that take us over to the metropolis of Glasgow. So it's not too far for us to get into cities. Not that I do it, of course. It's too full of people for me. Places like that. At the moment, I make a living trying to do small creative things. We make pottery. I write poetry. I used to be a social worker and got to the point of utter burnout in doing that. My field was mental health. So my my route into this kind of thing has been part survival, part just longing to move into a different kind of meaning and make meaning. In our pre-chat with Talitha just then, she was talking about that lockdown thing of making objects of meaning, and that's absolutely what I'm trying to do as well. And I'm also very passionate about social justice and would echo your comments, Stevie, of wanting to see a way of integrating my life, my faith journey, my art, such as it is, with connecting with things that matter and things that could create points of meeting and healing. And so that's why we're doing this podcast, which is also about trying to pull together an organisation that showcases and connects artists who are in that kind of space as well. So yeah, I think that's enough of me. So what about then if right now, Steve, we play the recording that you made of that poem? So I'm just going to do that now, and then let's talk about it. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Right, let's do that then.
From now on, all generations will call me blessed.
I spoke with Angel. He spoke peace, and Lord troubled, favored peace.
From now on, all generations will call me blessed.
My love's eyes moist, betrayal perceived. In me, who could believe, conceive the inconceivable.
From now on, all generations will call me blessed.
As I carry the seed of the life of God, God's word condemns me to death. Cannot the grace from my love be grace to him?
From now on, all generations will call me blessed.
I must leave my home as baby grows. Elizabeth takes me into her home, refuge in a home away from home. She knows the possible of the impossible. The Lord has provided for me.
From now on, all generations will call me blessed.
My love, God the Lord has taken me into his home. With him, I am home.
From now on, all generations will call me blessed.
Again, I must leave my home by order to strike the king's ego, bearing babies rhythmic fish of pelvis, rise and fall upon donkey.
From now on, all generations will call me blessed.
With pain I labour, where there's no room for rest, comfort, hygiene, I deliver life.
From now on, all generations will call me blessed.
I lay my baby boy in feeding trough, scratch crusty fruit remains from its wolf.
From now on, all generations will call me blessed.
Gibbets, tongued hard, wide, watch the eyes fly to describe God's glory. The voices caught by all, they declare my son to be Christ. The world has exalted us of humble estate.
From now on, all generations will call me blessed.
as men seek to wisdom find the prose of the pilgrimage most son in whom they delight.
From now on, all generations will call me blessed.
I must flee my home, lest my son be killed under King's ego.
From now on, all generations will call me blessed.
Turtle doves too, pigeons too, is all I have to offer to him who is mighty. At the thought of my son, a man can die. A woman rejoices, proclaiming him to be redemption, and the soul will peace my soul also.
From now on, all generations will call me blessed.
Freezer's district, I search for my son, wandering by God, entrusted me with his son. On finding him, he responds to my distress, philosophizing it to be needless, for I should have known he'd be in his father's home.
From now on, all generations will call me blessed.
As we celebrate in abundance, love and long flow, abundance is in my son, he has come.
From now on, all generations will call me blessed.
As my son questions, who are his mother and brothers, declaring the many are his mothers and brothers, who wiped his tears, relish, snuggled, spoon-fed him.
From now on, all generations will call me blessed.
With words that testify, cry, crucify, my stomach spins.
From now on, all generations will call me blessed.
Every life lives in my heart. He is bleeding, I am bleeding. His skin torn, my heart also.
From now on, all generations will call me blessed.
Chaos, peace, his hands, sword, peace is my soul also. He strains to breathe, I struggle to breathe. The sky smothered in darkness, I am smothered in darkness.
From now on, all generations will call me blessed.
Guttural groans, splattered, I feel with love and pain and compassion. As he hangs on, he ensures I am not alone, and John is not alone, and belonging to each other.
From now on, all generations will call me blessed.
My son, my love, my hope, my purpose, dead.
From now on, all generations will call me blessed.
My son, my love, my Lord, my Saviour.
So there you go, folks. What a poem. I was just confessing multiple weepings in relation to this. And I was talking to Michaela, my wife, and other people about why I'd found it so moving. And a lot of it is, it feels like an examination of motherhood in all its vulnerability and all its, and that being centered around this story at this time of year just kind of gives it this power and this beauty. So I guess over to you. Tell us about how that piece came about, what some of the motivations that pushed it were for you.
So last event in 2023 event, I thought a lot about that line. I was really struck by that line in Mary's poem. From now on, all generations will call me blessed.
Yeah.
And Mary, she would have been assumed to be unfaithful. She watched her son die. Her son went missing for 3 days. It actually means to be blessed because her life and all of joy and all of difficulties. I mean, watching her son die on the cross would have been absolutely horrific. So, what does it mean to be blessed? Does it not always mean happy? God's call in our lives. Well, Mary was called to be Jesus' mom, and that blessing caused her suffering as well as joy. So, what does it mean to be blessed? And what does it mean to feel God's call on our lives? God's call is not always easy.
Are you describing your own a call that you felt yourself in some of this, both in the poem and also in what you've just said?
I wasn't, but now I am. Yeah, I have a call to lament, to cry out for justice. One of my calls to a hunger for me and prayer. So that hurts. It hurts. It's not meant to be, So stepping into God's call is blessed. It's the true meaning of blessing. But it's not what the world might think blessing is. It's a really interesting concept. What does it mean to be blessed?
I'm immediately drawn to the Beatitudes again, of course, because as soon as we start thinking about blessing, we think down that list of blessings. Blessed are the peacemakers. Blessed are those who are persecuted. Blessed are the poor in spirit. None of those things are blessed are the rich people, blessed are the ones who've got it all together, blessed are the confident, blessed are the. It's almost like the total inverse, the total upside down version of what we have come to see the world as valuing and having blessed.
So it's really interesting. I think that Mary, it says somewhere, I think it says something about being favoured among all women, and yet because of that honour and that privilege, incredible honour, she really suffered. Yeah, I would have thought if God had called Mary to have his child, he would have somehow made everyone know that she wasn't unfaithful, but he didn't sort all that stuff out. Yeah, she suffered because of her amazing privilege and blessing, and we need to have the courage that she had to step into that call no matter what, because that is the blessing.
Can I just ask Stevie about the writing process of that piece? Then, it's quite a long poem. Was it something that took a long time to write, or did it just pour out?
This was a very different style for me. It was very disordered for me. I just basically Googled all words. I Googled where Mary is in the Bible, and I took all those stories and made them into little poems and put them together. So for me it was very distorted. It was like putting a bunch of little poems together.
Some poems I would describe as talismanic in the way that they punch harder. That's too warlike. They probe deeper, shall we say, and they collectivize something across from their location into lots of other locations. And my feeling is that poem of yours is one of them. So it might have felt disjointed to you, but it certainly didn't feel disjointed to me. I'm just wondering sometimes when we're able to kind of give release to something that's talismanic like that, it becomes quite transformational for us too. I'm just wondering if that might have been the case for you. And I know as a poet myself that sometimes when I'm writing something that feels important, it makes me weep. Now, your poem certainly made me weep in the reading. So I'm just wondering, do you feel that in encountering that Mary story, that's been significant for you?
It's been really interesting for me because I didn't think much of it. Like, my other poems feel more powerful to me, whereas that one felt, distorted. And then when you emailed me and you see me crying. I was like, well, maybe God, what felt very mechanical for me. God may have breathed into it. So yeah, for me, this one didn't feel powerful putting it together.
That's interesting. I wonder if there's something in the performance as well. I should add that we're going to hear from Talitha shortly as well, but that you had said that you were keen to kind of allow that poem to stand on its own and not share any more of your work in this particular reading, which of course is absolutely fine. I would, love to hear some more of your work at other times. And people can connect with some of this on your website as well, can't they? Which we'll put in the show notes.
Yeah.
So I think what we should maybe do now then is give you a rest, let Talitha into the discussion a little bit, and then I want to, if I may, come back and talk to you a little bit more about the Christmas experience that you have and how that relates to some of the justice things. So we'll come back to that if we can. Grand. Talitha, it's interesting, isn't it, just to hear Stevie then talking about how that poem just felt, it felt disjointed to her. I mean, that's not how it came across to me, but to you too. How did that impact for you, that poem?
Yeah, I wonder whether it's the technique of two parts that makes you pay closer attention because there's a conversation happening. And I think when you are eavesdropping on a conversation, you're trying to work out what's happening there, and the poem doesn't necessarily answer that. So you're holding that question as you listen. Maybe that's why something happens for us, because we're answering it within ourselves or something.
Yeah, it's interesting. I regularly reflect on one of my favourite poets, Norman MacCaig, who's a Scottish poet, which you may have come across, He used to talk about not trusting his poems, not liking his poems, if they took longer than at the time it took to smoke 2 cigarettes, because he kind of thought that he had the danger of overworking them. And I know certainly that I have poems that I've laboured over. And you have a different relationship with them when they come out in that kind of, you've got to draw them out and work really hard on some of the associations, whereas the ones that have just seemed to be come out of me as if somebody else has written them, that's a very different thing. Anyway, Talitha, let's hear something from you. What have you got for us?
Yeah, I'm leaning in to the human in the Advent, sacred ordinary things. It's a sort of connecting theme among these pieces. The hand that paints the sky adds new smears of red when the moon is full. Vermilion, sangria, mahogany. A portal to creation yawns open, swelling and cramping, birth pains of possibility. A gateway for life and death to enter. That's the fruit we ate, sweet and bitter. Something must die in order that something else might live. Know this in your body. Become fluent in what this tells you, in what this promises you. All seasons turn. Something must die in order that something else might live.
Wow. Right then. Talk to us about this poem.
Yeah. In Te Ao Māori, there's a sense that, when women have their period, a portal, divine portal is open.
Wow.
So there is a more protective stance towards women, and they don't necessarily do everything. For example, you might not go onto the urupa, into the cemetery, while you have your period, because you might be more vulnerable. But it's captured my imagination, this idea of a sacred portal being opened for possibility. And I think the idea of life cycles, I feel like there's resistance to it, that people want, maybe it's a project that you're a part of, and people want it to just keep going, even if it's kind of reached its natural end and there's fatigue and it's naturally had its summer and now it's autumn. You can't make it go back to summer. And I think we can do this of our gardens, of our friendships, of our work. We can try to resist. I think if we accept the cycle as a natural one, it comes much easier to know what new things might be birthed again and be open to those, if we can trust the process that's happening.
You mentioned this project called the Bleeding Women Project earlier. Is this poem part of that journey?
It was probably inspired by that. Yeah.
I really love that image of, say it again, of the sacred space. Talk to us about that again.
Because that creation that yawns open.
Wow.
Yeah.
I wonder if you would read the poem again. Is that okay? I think sometimes it's really helpful to hear it without that backstory and then hear it again with some of the backstory. So let's do that if you wouldn't mind.
The hand that paints the sky adds new smears of red when the moon is full. Vermilion, sangria, mahogany. A portal to creation yawns open, swelling and cramping. Birth pains of possibility. A gateway for life and death to enter. That's the fruit we ate, sweet and bitter. Something must die in order that something else might live. Know this in your body. Become fluent in what this tells you, in what this promises you. All seasons turn. Something must die in order that something else might live.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that beautiful moment that you've just given me. I've got the hairs on my arm standing up. That's very, very beautiful. Wow. Do you want to go straight in with something else, or shall I read something to give you a break?
As you like. Jump in.
I will do.
Share our words.
I wasn't keen to do it, but actually, I'm just thinking. I have a poem here called Alchemy, which has some resonances with what you've just read. So, if it's okay, I will go for it. You can't always mend what's broken. Some sickness never heals, but wounds which should diminish us can become conduits for kindness. Right there in plain sight, goodness forms in knotted gristle. Love seeps like precious serum from the ugliest of scars. It should be no surprise, for will not a desperate mother clutch her screaming child, unable to take its pain away? Instead, she takes the pain deep into her own soul, holding it level like molten metal in the knowledge that some must spill, whispering those ancient words of alchemy. So that was written in a different place, in a very different kind of arrival at this idea of motherhood. And it's interesting that all three poems have had some reference to motherhood. Obviously, the Mary story as being the almost archetypal mother, and then this idea of the blood red sky. And the sangria that's in the mix as well. And then what I was reaching for was, I was thinking about how people who were wounded, people who have an experience of abuse in childhood perhaps, almost had this double unfairness of that creating sometimes a problem that people have in relating to other people as they get older because of the damage they have in childhood. It becomes like a further separation. But actually, alongside that, the very best people I know are the ones that carry wounds, because they're sensitized and laid open to the woundedness of others. So it's almost like impossible, it seems sometimes, to feel empathy unless you have an experience of brokenness yourself. So that was what that whole poem was about, is trying to grapple with those ideas and trying to think about that in particular as almost like a natural order, that love has to be vulnerable. So yeah, that was where that one came from anyway.
Interesting that all three poems are also talking about the richness reflecting the life of love comes from suffering, bleeding and death and wounding. That I guess what the world sees as well and rich is not necessarily wounding. Yeah, there's a richness in the blessing that comes from difficulty and being bleeding.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Okay, Talitha, take us somewhere else.
This is just a very short one. Explain afterwards. A chatter on the breeze, a natter in the trees. There is some remarkable happening. Jayara knows where the amber can be found. The Jayara is the Wurundjeri name for a little corella, which is one of the parrots we have here in Australia, and the Latin name is something like Cacatia sanguinii. It's got red eyes that almost look like they're bleeding tears. I wrote this particular poem towards the end of last year. We were at a conference called Tending to Stories, which was being hosted by the Australian Collaborators in Feminist Theologies and Women in the Australian Church. So some very feminist projects. And there was a month of the year where these birds effectively invaded Melbourne. There were so many everywhere, and they made a really loud noise. And there was just a bewildered response from the humans. Why are they here? What are they talking about? Make them go away. And I think I felt such a resonance between, again, this is this sort of woman who is subject to blood getting together, and they're always talking, those women, and they're always, making trouble and asking questions. And no one really knows what they're on about and just wants them to be quiet and go away. But there's a particular tree that the Corella know about, the amber trees, and one of them told the others clearly, and word's spreading, and every year more of these birds come for the amber. I guess loosely I'm making a connection there too. shepherds and magi who might be travelling because they know something other people don't know. They know where to go, and they're telling each other there's some remarkable happening is taking place, and the people who know.
Yeah. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. It's interesting that both of your poems and Stevie's poem has this element of the sacred and the activist somehow in it. You're both active in activist spaces. So Stevie, I know that you have some thoughts about, you mentioned that Christmas has a particular resonance around those things for you as well. Do you want to say something about that?
Yeah, I mean, I love everything. It fills me with joy. Uh, throughout the year, there's this lament about what's happening in the world. Gaza has been on my heart, since October last year. And, it was devastating. And it got worse. And then it got worse. And then it got worse. And it's just everything for me is my hope that God is with us. God is in our suffering, in our brokenness, and it's enough. I've been really struck by that. This evident Jesus' gift of presence and ultimate redemption is enough. And this year it's just felt like nothing is enough to make us bitter. And Jesus coming, he's in Gaza, he's walking the streets of Gaza. And one day, somehow, he's gonna make it alright. So, it's been a year of grief, but the season, the hope that one day, God's gonna somehow make it all just and kind and loving, and that's your destination.
Absolutely, amen. I mentioned this being my second podcast of the day. The first one was an interview with Mark Kensett, who's a photographer who's was talking to us about his experience making films and taking photographs in Gaza and in the West Bank. So that idea of Emmanuel, of God with us, of Jesus walking the streets of Gaza, just... it's utterly devastating. I'm also reminded of this hymn that we sing, which relates to a 6th century, 7th century poem, that O come, Emmanuel, ransomed something of Israel. Thinking about that poem, I love it's in a minor key, so I love it. I love playing anything in a minor key. But the words, actually, when you read them, are troubling. And then you reframe them in your mind. O come, Emmanuel, to set free a ransomed Israel. And it does feel like those words are more necessary now than they were certainly before October of last year. Some darkness has taken hold of a nation. Not just the fact that they were subjected to the awfulness of the massacre on October the 7th, but just the darkness that's allowed them to unleash this awfulness ever since. You obviously feel that very deeply, and I think many of us do. Is that something that you have and continue to use poetry to react to? Because it's very hard to react to it in any way, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, slavery is always at the back of my mind. Trafficking is always there. So, I guess poetry is a way to express myself, but also I hope it's a way for people to engage and maybe, people who don't think about these things might, check out a nice poem. Oh my goodness, yeah. So, my hope is that my poetry inspires people to actually get involved and do something.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Right. Well, Talitha, I think it's time for you to take us to another poem.
A friend of mine is pregnant, due at any moment, and we gathered.
To continue the theme.
Yeah.
We gathered last week to do some blessings. I pulled this out, and it was sitting in the amidst the preparations for this, and I was like, what would it be like to give this to Mary and Joseph? Yeah, I wrote it for a friend, whose pregnancy wasn't an easy one, and who had lived experience of trauma that was going to make medical experiences or interventions difficult. And I wrote this so that when she texted us to say that she was going into labour, we would light a candle where we were and be keeping vigil with them in the birth. The world just changed. Did you see it? It will never again be the same as it was. God, we enter a waiting time, a time of anticipation and labour. We light this candle to light your way in this work. Come, Baba, come. In these troubled times, we might wonder, what hope is there in this world? The world is made anew with you in it. We should not ask what hope the world holds for you, but what hope you hold for the world. Come, Baba, come. While we wait, let every thought, every motion, every breath be God-breathed prayer, holding the hope and possibility of what might be. Mary and Joseph, we are keeping vigil with you. Come, Baba, come. It is hard work, but what we might fear, what might scare us, let find no place here. Let the invitation of your intimacy with each other, the pride, the admiration, the respect, the love, outstretch like your waiting arms to include this new coming life. Come, Baba, come. This joyous, surreal, miraculous thing, this irrevocable thing. A becoming is now a coming, and God looks at what God makes and declares it good. Here the veils are drawn back between us and how we're made to be. How extraordinary that a body and a baby should know what to do. As we see the sacred in ordinary things, so too we see the potential and the possibility in you. Come, Baba, come. The world just changed. Did you see it? It will never again be the same as it was.
Wow. I don't want to speak. I don't want to say anything else. Come, Baba, come. I think we finished there, folks. And I say thank you very much to the both of you for making a sacred space for me. I've really felt that, just hearing those words, hearing your stories. I felt it in my belly. So thank you very much. And may the poetry continue to flow.
Thank you so much for having me.